On January 22nd of 2020, Nikola Jokic had a triple-double in a loss to the Rockets. Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero combined for 50 in an OT victory to the Wizards. And the Warriors were still without Steph and Clay. In the world of film, one of the best gambling movies ever to be put to screen was released to a wider audience on Netflix. It would be A24's highest grossing release and be nominated for dozens of Indie Awards. This film is considered by many to be Adam Sandler's best performance among a talented cast. Uncut Gems is a suspenseful, thrilling masterpiece that manages to maintain a level of suspense throughout the entire film. It's hard to sit still while watching, as I found myself nervous during every character interaction. Howard Ratner, aka Howie Bling, is somehow always the worst person throughout the film, yet you still want him to succeed. You get sucked into the personality and put aside that Howie is doing all of this to himself. We want to see him succeed to get the same emotional payoff as Howie gets. But in getting sucked in, now the viewer is invested and is nervous as nothing seems to go right for him. It's what happens in the last 25 minutes that truly makes this movie great. But first, let's go back to the start. It's 2012 and Howie is in debt all over the place. His saving grace is supposed to be a 3,000 carat black opal. But Howard screws himself out of money over and over again until agreeing to sell the opal to Celtics power forward Kevin Garnett for less than he believed he'd get back.
Just stop!
And the film's final act begins when Howie decides to bet all the money on KG's performance that night rather than paying off a loan shark. When the loan sharks get there, Howard is able to lock some of them in a glass security box by the front door, while the rest go to Connecticut to chase after Julia. Now, it's Game 7 in the second round of the NBA playoffs. Celtics, Sixers. Now, many people may not be into sports betting, but Howie Bling might as well be the mascot for online sports betting. He's got a crazy four-way parlay with KG's points and rebounds, the Celts tip, and the Celts money line. Everyone watching is as excited as Howie is as they go for that final tip. He's sitting there rocking back and forth until he explodes up when KG wins the tip. As the game progresses, the viewer counts with Howard as KG gets up to 26 points and rebounds. You can see the excitement build as even the loan sharks start to get excited. He might just pull this off after spending the whole movie failing over and over again. Then, in the middle of the fourth quarter, KG hits 26. Now all that's left is the Celtics money line. Being this close to the win is almost unbearable, as we sit and watch Kevin at the free throw line. There's a minute left. The Celtics are up 7. This is gonna happen. We watch as the clock goes down to 0. It's over. He's hit. We just got to witness a huge parlay come in on a very impractical bet. The excitement in Howie is inside of all of us. You just watched something crazy happen, and now you're just as happy as he is. He gets on the phone and calls Julia and freaks out with her over the big win. They just won $1.4 million, and the world could not seem better right now. The loan sharks stand up, completely amazed at the fact that Howard is able to win that. He hits the buzzer and tells Julia that he's going to get her a ride back to New York tonight. And as the door opens, we see one of the most heart-wrenching twists to ever be put to screen.
Ha! Got him!
The first time I watched this, I threw my Xbox controller at the wall. I was so angry. I'd been cheering with Howie this whole time, waiting for him to hit. I wanted to win with him. I think everyone wants to win with him. It's so upsetting, and yet, you should have seen it coming the whole time. In the post-game interview, KG says something really interesting.
When you win, it's all that matters. You know, the big be quiet, the big shut up, you know?
Because at the end of the day, that's the way Howard thought. It never mattered what happened or what the consequences for his actions were. As long as he got the win, he was able to put anything and anybody in his way. The first few times I watched this movie, I found myself getting angry every time at the end. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this was really the best way for Howard to go out. He got to hit on a huge parlay, something he'd probably never do again, or at least to this magnitude. He died so happy and so fulfilled, with such a rush of endorphins going through him, that this was probably the best way for him to go. He went out on top, with a huge win and his ego stroked. He got to be the big man. He got to be the big winner. Everyone wanted to be him. It's also funny because in the post-game interview, we hear the reporter ask KG what's next for him in the Big Three. This would be the last year they would be in Boston before being traded to the Nets. This was their peak, as they'd be eliminated in the Eastern Conference Finals. This was the peak for them the same way this was the peak for Howie. It never got better than this. Uncut Gems is about winning and losing, about rise and fall, gain and loss. It makes you feel on edge without actually having to risk anything. Like you're part of a big bet, but you don't actually have any skin in the game. You're rooting for something that matters not to you, but at the same time, you feel so drawn in and involved that it's almost as though you are Howie, or at least someone betting with him. It's funny how the movie starts inside an asshole and ends inside an asshole.